Natalie Berg is a retail analyst. She is Global Research Director at Planet Retail. Always good to have you on the programme. So what Julie seemed to be alluding to there, what appears to be happening, Germans obviously concerned about what's going on around the world, but they're not feeling it yet in their pockets.
That's right. I think, the German consumer is a little bit more insulated than the average European consumer. And as we heard, it's mainly due to the fact that unemployment is much lower than the EU average, and consumers are feeling generally well off in the run-up to Christmas.
Like anything, it's always down to confidence on the high street. Do different rules apply when it comes to Christmas, or is it generally the same throughout the year?
Well, we always loosen our purse strings for Christmas, and I don't think this year will be an exception. But I think it will be very challenging. It'll be very competitive. But I think we'll have very clear winners and losers this year.
And who's going to be the winners and who's going to be the losers then?
Well, it's a good question. I think, the winners will clearly be those retailers that have a strong multi-channel offering. So not just the pure play online retailers like Amazon and eBay, for example, but also those retailers that are able to capitalize on the fact that consumers are really dictating when and where they want to shop, whether that's online, on their mobile phone, in the store. And mobile technology is really bridging that gap. So, retailers like Debenhams, John Lewis, a lot of the department stores are really embracing multi-channel, and this is something that will really see them do well this year.
Yeah, technology is absolutely key, but what are some companies doing as far as technology is concerned that others are not? Because one might have thought it's a bit of a non-brainer. You kind of know what works and you can see which companies are doing well. Why aren't all companies at that same level?
Well, I think all companies are moving towards that level. It's just that some are much better at doing it than others. But it's not just about mobile technology. It's also about using technology in store. So Tesco's using augmented reality in its stores. eBay is launching a pop-up store here in London where shoppers just scan QR codes with their mobile phones. So we're seeing retailers really look to embrace this.
A pop-up eBay, it sort of defies the point, really, doesn't it?
It does. It's not exactly convenient to go to the store and then have to wait for the delivery, but we're seeing a real convergence between the two.
To what extent do retailers really rely on Christmas to make sure they hit their profits forecast for the year? What sort of percentage are we talking about? 2%, 5%, 10%?
Oh, it could be up to 40–50% for a lot of retailers, particularly the toy retailers and also the struggling entertainment and electronic retailers, which, of course, here in the UK, we've had some very bad news from a lot of these retailers. Best Buy announcing its withdrawal, Casa selling off its Comet chain. So I think that it's clear that, discretionary spend is still under a lot of pressure, and retailers are going to have to fight very hard this Christmas.
And are they fighting mainly on price?
It's a lot to do with price, but as I said, it's also about multi-channel. I think that will play a big role this Christmas, and also around exclusive products. So if you think about Amazon's Kindle and a lot of other retailers, Debenhams is another great example of pushing exclusive products because it's so easy for shoppers to check prices on their mobile phones. So, a lot of products are the same, in the entertainment sector and in the electronics sector. So being able to offer something exclusive is a fantastic way to drive loyalty.
And looking ahead, is this going to be a really awful year, do you think, for retailers? Or is this the last year before it gets really bad? What's your sense about the trends economically that, frankly, are not looking good globally?
Well, I think consumer spending will be subdued. I think, we will see people come out, loosen their purse strings for Christmas, as they always do. But, looking to 2012, there are some silver linings. We have the Olympics, of course, which should help to lift consumer sentiment and confidence. And interest rates are expected to remain low, which is, great news for consumers in the UK. But generally speaking, I think we're in for, continued subdued consumer spending.
And the difference in the way that consumers are actually behaving now, it's not just going into the store and checking exactly what you want to get. It is more about being online. Are people much more savvy about how they shop? That's been a real change.
Absolutely, and again, that's due to mobile technology. And as I said, we're seeing a real convergence between online and offline. So Tesco, Ocado launching virtual shopping walls where people, again, just scan codes with their mobile phones and do shopping. And, I think this is something that we'll continue to see in the future.
Natalie Berg from Planet Retailer, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.